The afternoon shift at Blue Lantern Diner always felt loud, greasy, and strangely comforting, but for 17-year-old Ava Carter, today felt heavier, like the air itself was watching her. She had started the job only 3 days ago, after moving into the small coastal town with her brother Ethan, and though she tried, blending in quietly, hair tied up, simple jeans, worn sneakers, and an apron too big for her, people noticed her immediately, not because she wanted attention, but because in a place where everyone knew everyone, a new face was never ignored. Ava kept her head low as she wiped tables, serving food with timid smiles, avoiding unnecessary conversation. She was polite, soft-spoken, but something in her eyes hinted she wasn't as fragile as she appeared. Still, she never wanted trouble. But trouble, as always, had a way of finding the people who avoided it the most. And it came walking in with heavy footsteps, loud voices, and the unmistakable swagger of boys who thought the world belonged to them. The three troublemakers, Derek, Troy, and Mason, sat at their usual booth by the window wearing leather jackets, unearned confidence, and that smirk that warned the town's teenagers to stay out of their way. Derek, the unofficial boss of the trio, leaned back with his arms stretched, lazily, watching Ava as she approached their table with her notepad. "Look who's here," he muttered, eyes dragging over her like she was prey. Ava inhaled carefully. "What can I get you?" she asked softly. Troy laughed. "A little louder, sweetheart. Didn't hear you." Mason snapped his fingers in her face. "And try smiling. That's what waitresses do." Ava clenched her jaw but kept her expression gentle. "What would you like to order?" Derek smirked. "You new here, right? Don't know the rules yet." Ava blinked. "Rules?" Derek tapped his finger on the table. "Yeah, we talk, you answer. We joke, you laugh. And when we call you, you come quickly. That's how it works here." She didn't respond, simply waited with the patience of someone who had survived far worse than rude boys with loud mouths. Derek leaned forward, annoyed by her silence. "Hey, I'm talking to you," Troy snickered. Mason muttered, "She thinks she's too good for us." Ava simply repeated, "What would you like to order?" Derek's hand moved before anyone could breathe, a sudden sharp slap across her cheek. The sound cracked through the diner like a gunshot. Plates rattled. A couple gasped. The older cook in the kitchen froze mid-motion. Ava's head snapped to the side, her breath stuck somewhere between shock and instinct, and for 2 long seconds nobody moved. Derek grinned, satisfied. "Rule number 1, he said slowly, don't ignore me." Ava didn't touch her cheek, didn't cry, didn't even step back. She stood perfectly still, shoulders steady, eyes lowered not out of fear but calculation. She could have reacted. A year ago, she would have reacted. She knew how to fight, her brother taught her, but Ethan had only one rule for her: only fight when there is no other choice. She swallowed, nodded calmly, and whispered, "I'll get your order now." Then she turned and walked toward the counter as the boys laughed. But while she walked, her eyes were already glassy, not from pain, but from the thought of what would happen if her brother found out. Ethan Carter wasn't just her older brother. He wasn't just the guy who raised her when life got hard. Ethan was a U.S. Navy SEAL, calm, disciplined, lethal, and he loved Ava more than anything on earth. If he ever heard someone laid a hand on her, especially some small-town bully with more ego than sense, God help them. Ava took the order to the cook, keeping her voice steady. But a woman sitting in the corner booth, Mrs. Donnelly, had already taken out her phone. She wasn't a gossip, but the whole town adored Ethan. And the moment she saw the red mark on Ava's face, she knew Ethan had to know. Within minutes, the message was sent. And Ethan, who was coming back from physical training at the naval base, glanced at the text, read the words Ava was slapped at the diner, and froze. His fingers curled slowly around his steering wheel. His jaw tightened with a silent, controlled rage. Navy SEALs didn't explode. They didn't yell. They didn't panic. They acted. And Ethan acted fast. He turned the truck around, back at the diner. Derek and his friends were enjoying their victory, feet up on the booth seats, laughing as if they owned the place. She didn't even fight back, Mason bragged. Pathetic. "Yeah," Troy added, "new girl needs to learn who runs things here." Derek smirked. "I'll teach her, day by day." They didn't notice the way the diner suddenly grew silent, the way customers looked toward the door, the way the cook lowered the pan, the way the air tightened as if preparing for a storm. Ethan walked in, 6 foot even, broad shoulders, navy-cut hair, calm, focused eyes that held oceans of discipline and storms underneath. He wasn't wearing his uniform, he didn't need it. His presence alone carried authority. He scanned the diner once, and then he saw Hereva standing behind the counter, trying to hide her bright red cheek. His chest rose slowly. He didn't move to her. Instead, he turned toward the booth. Derek looked up, annoyed. Can we help you? Ethan didn't answer. He walked toward them with calm, deliberate steps, each one slow enough to be terrifying. Derek rolled his eyes. Hey man, this is our table. Ethan placed one hand on the edge of the table and flipped it with a single controlled push. Drinks, plates, fries, everything crashed onto Derek, Troy and Mason as the booth slammed sideways. Gasps filled the diner. Derek stumbled to his feet. What the hell is your problem? Ethan grabbed him by the shirt and lifted him slightly off the ground, speaking in a dangerously quiet voice. You slapped my sister. Everything inside Derek collapsed in an instant. His mouth went dry. His legs trembled. I didn't know she was. You don't touch any girl, Ethan growled, tightening his grip. But you touched my sister. Troy tried to step forward to help, but Ethan's eyes flicked to him just one sharp glance, and Troy froze on the spot as if that single stare pinned him to the floor. Ethan wasn't shouting. He didn't need to apologize. He ordered Derek. Derek stuttered. I'm sorry. I swear I didn't mean. Ethan leaned closer. You meant it. That's the problem. Mason raised a fist behind Ethan, thinking he might jump him. Bad idea. Ethan turned, grabbed Mason's wrist midair, twisted it gently but firmly enough to make the boy drop to his knees with a shocked cry. Sit down, Ethan said coldly.